Now, we've already talked about some of the ways that information systems help management with the day-to-day operations of a company by recording and managing data. In this lesson, we're going to talk about enterprise performance management. Enterprise performance management uses company data to link strategy to specific plans and actions. Now, there's some disagreement in practice about what constitutes an enterprise performance management system, but ultimately, it's a fancy way of conceptualizing planning and reporting within an organization. So, again, lots of different ways that you're going to see this, but one way, and the way we'll use in this lesson, is to break down EPM into three distinct processes. First, planning, budgeting, and forecasting. Second, performance reporting. And finally, profitability and cost analysis. So let's walk through an example so we can understand these three steps. All right? Let's assume that you work for a company that makes hovercrafts, Hover King hovercrafts, which means life has been very kind to you and you probably don't even need to know this stuff. You've peaked, you've arrived, right? So these three processes, the three steps to this process. First, we've got planning, budgeting, and forecasting. Now remember, strategy drives enterprise performance management. What is it that the company wants to achieve? I think of enterprise performance management as a proactive approach to data. We're not simply recording transactions. With EPM, we choose what data we want to collect based on our strategy. So if there's one thing I want you to remember about EPM, it's that it's driven by strategy. So what is this company's strategy, Hover King? Well, we've decided at Hover King that we want to establish a reputation for having the most sophisticated hovercraft on the market. Okay? We want to design innovative new models, and we want to increase market share in developing countries. We think that's where the growth is, and we think if we can follow these three keys to success, we're going to make it, right? We're going to be the leader, the world leader in hovercrafts. So once we've decided what our strategy is, we need to figure out a way to tie data into these areas of our strategy, right? So how do we measure reputation? We may decide that we can measure our reputation through using customer satisfaction awards, right? So the more awards we get, the happier our customers are. We can tie innovation with the number of cup holders we have in our new hovercraft models, and we can monitor our market share in these developing countries on a monthly or weekly basis. Now, these goals influence budgeting and forecasting. For instance, if we want to be innovative, we may have to designate a very high level of resources to R&D. Cup holders won't design themselves, right? So all of this information is going to feed in to our budgets. All right, the next step is performance reporting. Once we have our budgets and our forecasts, at some point we have to collect data to see how we're doing. We have to collect information to come up with financial reports and other reports, right? We need to collect customer satisfaction scores that might tie into our strategy. We also have other stakeholders that we might need to report to. Now, this third step is about how do we know if we're doing well? And that's essentially what enterprise performance management is. We come up with these measures based on our strategy. We monitor our performance, but ultimately we have to compare our results with our goals, right? So many EPM systems often use a series of dashboards that allow management to see how they're progressing towards their goals. And some of these track performance in real time. It also helps you identify areas for improvement. Where are we not doing so well? Where do we need to focus our resources to improve? So what does EPM have to do with information systems? EPM has been around for a long time. Technology has simply made these systems much more effective. And with each jump in technology, we find that people are spending a lot less time on the low-value compilation of data and much more time on high-value analysis. That's where we develop new strategy and gain more market share and improve operations. So the widespread of adoption of accounting software in the 1970s was a huge time saver, right? We weren't doing accounting by hand. We weren't doing this process by hand. We used software which sped up the process. In the 80s, we started having electronic spreadsheets. Imagine what that did for budgeting and forecasting. We update a few numbers here and there, and the spreadsheet automatically populates. What used to take weeks could now be done in minutes. In the 1990s, email made it possible for everyone to get this information much more quickly. And so this feedback process could happen many, many times in a year if we wanted it to. Since then, we've moved from web-based programs to cloud-based enterprise performance management. And these EPM systems are often linked to ERP systems because they use a lot of the underlying data, same data. Okay, so remember, strategy drives EPM. Strategy determines what data we should be collecting. Then we got to track this data and monitor our results to see how we compare with our goals. Modern information systems simply make this process a lot more efficient.